food sovereignty, we're talking of the power to decide what to produce, when to produce it, how to produce it.
Food sovereignty is a concept that was first elaborated by the global peasant movement, La Via Campesina, and further defined during the 2007 Nyeleni meeting. It involves the redistribution of power towards farmers and peasants, as well as other citizen actors in the food system, away from large industrial, agro firms and consortia. It also supports alternative agricultural practices that are more ecological and more sustainable.
Yes, ma'am, we offer marinated. Meron kami plain boneless bangus, which we grilled over there.
In October 2010, a workshop entitled Southeast Asian Perspectives on Food Sovereignty took place at the University of the Philippines of Diliman.
There's at least 4 or 5 issues that came up as a debate that should be followed up. First is, I think, the organic agriculture. The second is getting us, is food sovereignty a certain ethics? So it's, how do you reconcile process changes and also structural change? How do you reconcile changes of who controls the asset, but how do you do it? How do you do this process? So I think there's a lot of substance for further debate.
So we're thinking, nandito na kami sa right position. Ang amin na lang dito, paano ito pag-develop. Kasi unang-una, financially incapacitated kami. Yun ang problema namin.
Many farmers are doing just basic agriculture, not using any innovative technologies. That's why also many young people, they don't want to go into farming because like the average farmer, according to the study, is 56 years old. So it's not, the farming, especially in the rural isolated communities, is not attractive. So they look down on themselves. So if you are at in a mountainous area and this has been deforested 50 years ago, so the agriculture production of course goes only down, and if you don't use new innovative techniques, then yeah, there's nothing to get there, nothing to be proud of also.
Sa multiple burden, mas marami kasing problema ng kababayan yung kahirapan. At yun yung mga nasa area namin, talagang yun yung nakita namin, walang opportunity sa trabaho. Pag magsasaka, lalaki lang eh. Kaya parang ang desisyon tungkol sa pagsasaka, kung ano itatanim, mas lalaki. Sumusunod lang kami. Pag ando na, tutulong lang. Ganun lang yung gawain namin. May tendency kasi ang tingin ng lalaki, kailangan niya kasi kapital eh. Puhunan talaga. Yung malaking kita ang ine-expect niya para sa pamilya. Pero tayo mga babae, mas ine-expect natin kasi yung hindi lang basta kita eh. Paano itataguyod yung pamilya, yung kalusugan, ay yung mga iba pang pangangailangan, mas concern natin yung ganun. Kaya
when you say fisher, the one that comes to mind is the men, because they are usually the ones who do the actual harvesting of the fish. But actually, after the harvest, the fish harvest, the men will give the fish catch to the women, and it is the women who will sort this fish and then sell it and then convert it to cash. Because of the local government usually registers only the men as fishers, because the fishing boat and the fish net are under the name of the men. So when there are fishery-related programs like loans for fishers, the women cannot easily access these programs because they are not classified as fishers.
In the fishing industry, municipal fisher folks are often marginalized by large-scale commercial fishing and the aquacultural industry.
The government, instead of helping the municipal fisher folk increase their productivity, what happens is, particularly the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, their program is geared towards aquaculture, but actually aquaculture further marginalizes the fisher folk community. Coastal resources are already degraded because of illegal fishing. For example, dynamite fishing causes damage to the coral reefs that serves as breeding ground of fishes.
The farmers have a rich knowledge about the seeds, their characters, their uses, has been accumulated over generation, passed from one generation to the other. Perhaps about a century ago, that the formal breeding sector in the academy has been developed, that breeding became the work of scientists. Before the Green Revolution in the Philippines, there used to be 4,400 plus varieties of traditional varieties. After 10 years of the Green Revolution, there can only be about less than a dozen kind of modern varieties. Those that were developed in the greenhouses or laboratories, bred by scientists, actually are only specific under certain conditions that doesn't match the multitude or myriad of environmental factors in farmers' fields. The traditional varieties have been eroded or has been displaced by these modern varieties. They usually called it before as the miracle rice. Miracle because it was short in stature, in height, it was high yielding, but of course with the inputs of chemical fertilizers and pesticides.
The Hacienda law is a form of regulation that is separate and distinct from state law. No? In the haciendas here in the Philippines, you can still find a lot of haciendas where sharing system persists in contravention of what is stated under the law.
In 2011, the Philippine Comprehensive Program of Land Distribution has yet to be completed. Still today, some regions experience violent conflicts due to land distribution, such as the case in the Bondoc Peninsula.
The situation in the Bondoc Peninsula is this, no? There is an ongoing agrarian transition there where farmers are claiming land rights, and in the process they are trying to democratize land ownership in favor of more equitable distribution. But in the process, a lot of conflicts evolve. Like farmers are getting jailed because the landowners are filing criminal cases against them, or that goons are being employed, resulting in physical harassment, physical injuries to farmers.
The expansion of agribusiness in the Philippines has encouraged monocropping. Now, more and more lands are being converted for biofuel production.
Agro investments for biofuel started actually at the global level. It's because of the climate change, it's because of the financial crisis, and it's because of the food crisis. Targeted feedstocks are actually corn. Of course, the most familiar at that time is the jatropha. Then again, the oil palm, the cassava, sorghum, and even rice is considered part of the biofuel feedstocks in Mindanao.
Ngayon ang lumalabas, pumapasok sa yung investment sa areas na klaro yung title. So yun ang isang danger, no, lalo na for IP areas, kasi isang malaking area yan, tapos you have one title, tapos hindi naman nasi-shortcut yung free prior informed consent, ilang leader lang yung nakikipag-usap, at yun nga lumalabas ngayon na meron pang middle person na hindi dumidiretso yung negotiation with the foreign investment.
GMOs have a far-reaching ripple effect in terms of environmental and socio-political dimensions, or as they impinge upon small farmers. Going back to the genetically modified crops, it is a big problem because one, it might contaminate also our own crops. In fact, it is not only destructive towards farmer saved and farmer developed varieties, but also it is bad for the environment because such genetically uniform varieties will be most prone to environmental changes.
The Philippines has signed an agreement with the World Trade Organization. So, as a member of the WTO, we're not supposed to discriminate against GMOs. So, at the national level, the national government cannot adopt a policy banning the entry of GMOs altogether.
By understanding what's happening to the consumers and the alternatives they have, that could influence the kind of food that is produced and who produces that, who has control over production. The producers will have to now look more and more closely at the influences being brought to bear on the consumers in the latter's desire to meet their nutritional needs. If people now think they can get their nutritional needs from nutrients anyway, we will have less and less efforts at diversification, when in fact that is one, I think, of the key concerns of food sovereignty, biodiversity, and diversity of choices or options for people to meet their nutritional needs.
Food sovereignty actually has a big dimension, that is, and the freedom to choose what kind of farming the farmers should do in order to address their own preferences without being dictated by any other forces as to the choices of the seeds as well as to the choices of the technology that they have to use.
Easy access to seeds and it's not risky. It's the same with technologies, that they should have the control over technology. Yeah. So not being dependent on expensive spare parts, but they understand how to repair themselves, so they will. It sure is going to last. No?
Because seeds are now being patented, and with being patented, meaning the farmers don't own the seeds that are patented already. In this case, farmers' rights should be able to mitigate this negative aspect of genetic uniformity when we give the rights to the farmers to own and save and improve the seeds. Masipag network has a collection of 1,100 traditional rice varieties. These Masipag rice were developed from improving through breeding the locally adapted traditional varieties.
In Mindanao, MEDSA's Demo Farm Imulayan is an educational and training center for organic farming.
Kasing mga trainings na binigay, mga seminars on organic farming, ODEX, organic diversified integrated farming system. Pero sa observation namin, parang right after the training, parang high na high. Pero the question is, nagpa-practice ba yung mga farmers? You still have to convince them not just by giving them information, but yung talagang ginawa namin, hands-on sila dito. Naging buhay na rin nila ba yung pagka-practice ng organic farming. Parang experimentation na we are hoping na maka-produce kami ng youth farmer scientists na.
Umiisip kami paano maiangat talaga yung antas ng Hindi lang kamulatan kasi parang tayo kasi pag nangarap tayo sa kababaihan, pag sinabi natin maitaas yung antas ng kabuhayan, parang lahat yun kasi hindi naman tataas ang antas ng kabuhayan mo na naiiwan yung kamalayan mo. Kailangan kasi mauna muna yung kaisipan mo muna kasi yun yung unang magdadala sa'yo para mag-dream ka, mag-vision ka, tapos skills, diba? Pag skilled na sila, kaya na nila. Kumbaga parang ganun namin tinuturuan, hindi siya madali pero unti-unti.
They can assert their rights over the municipal waters. We discussed to them the laws like the fish code, and then for them to have the courage to negotiate and lobby with the local government for policies that favor the small municipal fisherfolk. Like 4 municipalities where we are now, they all have the municipal fishery ordinance that stipulates that municipal waters are for the use of the municipal fishers.
In Nueva Ecija, the Kabyokid farm has been practicing permaculture for several years. Kabyokid aims to promote such form of sustainable agriculture with farmers around the Philippines.
Imagine 10 years ago this was just plain rice, so there was nothing growing, only rice. Monoculture, chemical rice farm. Now it's a diverse farm with more than 1,000 species of weeds and plants and flowers and woods and trees and animals. Nature as the basis for designing and creating sustainable habitats. And the only thing sustainable in this world is basically nature, because it has been here for billions of years. And if we need to know something, we cannot get it from another planet, but only from our own planet. I think if you do it on a large scale, first of all you should plan together with farmers, because then you really need to look at the water system, you really need to look on where the water drains, how the wind comes in, where you're going to plant jointly certain things, and then share each other's resources in terms of seeds and in terms of focus materials.
To strengthen these initiatives, state support is needed. Currently, some local governments have already endorsed organic farming.
Organic policy started in Bohol quite a long time ago, 1994, when the group of NGOs, the government sector, and POs, farmers side, when the Bohol initiators for sustainable agriculture and development started in the province of Bohol. I think that's 2002, where the provincial government passed an ordinance banning the entry of GMOs in the province of Bohol. Aside from that, we consider Bohol as, we dream Bohol as become the food basket of the Central Visayas.
It's a niche market worldwide. But then there's much room for expansion. The demand is far bigger than the supply, especially of certified organic products. It's not about just the organic market, it's about linking farm-based production to the market. So it's not just about producing food for self-consumption, it's also linking surplus production to the organic market.
Food sovereignty celebrates biodiversity and the respect of the environment, as well as for traditional food produce methods.
Sa project ng Sarilaya, parang unti-unti namin siyang binabago, parang hindi siya pwedeng mabilis kasi kultura at ekonomiya yung parang babanggain mo doon. Pero unti-unti din namin nahikayat yung mga asawa namin dun sa kaya lang hindi ganun kabilis.
Perhaps the message of food sovereignty would resonate better with more people if we look at the everyday life of these people. That might even then help us to re-examine the challenges we say we face in terms of production and distribution of food.
That in terms of food sovereignty, in which people are in control, Filipinos are in control, and are able to address their food needs in a healthy way. That is not happening. I think it's a big challenge. But food sovereignty can start at the local level, I believe. And that can start by organizing the communities, organizing the farmers, and lobbying for local policies that will support local production, sustainable organic agriculture, and systems in which will enable people to have access to the seeds, to the inputs, and to the produce in agriculture that is necessary for consumption.
Food sovereignty promotes the freedom of choice, putting the producers at the heart of the system.